Jackson Hayes sat alone on the rooftop of his small apartment in New Seattle. The night sky was quiet, stars blinking above the city's low lights. He liked it up here. No noise, no people, just peace. As always, he sipped black coffee from a chipped mug and watched the sky, but tonight the stars were moving. A bright flash ripped across the sky. Then another. Jackson stood up. "What the?" he whispered. Without warning, a giant circular ship appeared from the clouds, smooth, silent, glowing blue underneath. It didn't make a sound. It just hovered above the sea, 5 miles off the coast. The entire city stopped. Cars, trains, even drones paused. People everywhere stared at the sky. Phones buzzed. News alerts flashed. Unidentified craft over Earth, not responding to contact. Is this first contact? World leaders on alert. Jackson's phone buzzed too, but he didn't look at it. He was staring at the ship. Then something unbelievable happened. From the ship, a small vessel broke off and flew directly toward Jackson's rooftop. He stepped back. No. What is this? The craft hovered above him. A soft blue light washed over his body. Suddenly, a voice not human spoke inside his head. "You are the chosen one. Come with us. Your queen waits." Jackson fell to one knee. The light held him in place. He tried to scream, but his voice didn't work. Then he saw them, 2 tall, armored beings stepping out of the ship's open door. Their skin was silver, their eyes glowing gold. They looked royal. One of them bowed slightly. "Human male Jackson Hayes, our queen has selected you. You must come with us now." "Why me?" he shouted. No answer. The beings raised a small orb. In a blink, Jackson vanished from the rooftop, gone in a beam of light. Inside the alien vessel, Jackson found himself in a room that shimmered like stars. The floor was soft. The air smelled like warm honey. He was breathing normally, but he felt lightheaded. The 2 aliens stood on either side of him. "She has been watching you," one said. "For years." "Who?" Jackson asked, his voice shaking. "The Queen of Valdora," the other replied. "She chose you to marry." Jackson laughed. "Is this a joke?" Their faces didn't change. "Why would an alien queen want to marry a human like me?" he asked. The ship began to move. Through the walls, Jackson could see stars flying past. Earth was already fading behind. "She believes you hold the answer," the alien said. "To our survival." Meanwhile, back on Earth, global leaders were in panic mode. The president of the United Earth Council stood in front of cameras. "We confirm that 1 human has been taken. We do not consider this an attack, yet. We are attempting peaceful communication." But the people of Earth were divided. Some feared war. Others hoped for peace. But all agreed on one thing. Jackson Hayes was now the most important man in the galaxy. Inside the ship, Jackson was taken to his personal chamber. The bed looked like clouds. Food appeared without asking. Music played from invisible instruments, but Jackson couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't stop thinking. Why him? He wasn't rich. He wasn't strong. He wasn't a soldier or leader, just an engineer who fixed broken machines. And now an alien queen wanted to marry him? It made no sense. The next morning, or at least what felt like morning, he was led to a throne room. It stretched a mile wide, with floating lights and silver waterfalls. At the end of it stood her, the alien queen. She was tall, glowing, dressed in flowing crystal armor. Her face was smooth, eyes deep purple like nebulae, and her voice soft yet powerful. "You are smaller than I imagined," she said with a small smile. Jackson took a shaky step forward. "Why me?" The queen stepped down from her throne. "Because I searched 1,000 stars. I saw warlords, princes, heroes, and I saw you. The way you fixed that broken machine for a little girl in the rain, the way you gave your jacket to a stranger. You do not lead with force, but with kindness. I'm not a king. Jackson said. No, she agreed, but you could be the father of kings. His heart stopped. Wait, what? She raised a hand. We are dying, Jackson Hayes. My people are proud, but our blood is broken. We need something new, something human. Only your DNA can save the royal line. And if I say no? The guard stepped forward. But the queen held up her hand. You are free to choose, but choose with your heart. Jackson stood in silence. The royal throne room was too quiet, too big. It felt like standing in a dream or maybe a nightmare. At the far end, the alien queen of Valdora watched him. She sat straight, regal and graceful, her crown glowing softly, her deep violet eyes locked on him. Her skin shimmered like pearls under the twin suns above the glass ceiling. Jackson swallowed hard. She had not moved for over a minute, not spoken, not blinked, just stared at him. Then, she spoke, not in anger, not in command, but in something almost human. You came, she said softly. I didn't really have a choice, Jackson replied. A tiny smile touched her lips. You always had a choice. I only waited for the moment you would stand before me. Flashback, 7 years ago. On a war-torn colony, the queen, then just a princess, watched a silent feed from a crashed Earth outpost. One human boy, no older than 26, dragged 2 injured aliens into shelter during a storm. She replayed the scene 100 times. That was the first time she saw Jackson Hayes, not a soldier, not a hero, but kind when no one was watching. She saved the footage, studied him, quietly followed his life for years. Others called her foolish, but in her heart, she waited. Now, in the present, Jackson looked around. Why me? I mean it. There are billions of humans. She rose from her throne, steps smooth like flowing water. Her robes moved like smoke. She stopped only a few feet away. You don't understand yet, she said, but soon you will. He crossed his arms. You want a child. You want me to save your royal bloodline? I'm an engineer. I fix engines. I don't lead empires. She stared at him, then slowly raised her hand. Light burst from her palm. An image formed in the air. A dying galaxy map. Systems marked in red. Stars that had gone cold. Planets where life no longer grew. Our genetics are collapsing, she whispered. Royal line or not, we will not survive another century. And humans can fix that? Only one. Jackson sat down on a silver bench, his head spinning. I thought I'd be scared, he muttered, but mostly I feel small. The queen tilted her head. So did I when I first took the throne. She sat beside him. No guards, no crown. Just a woman, an alien woman, who carried the weight of billions. When I first saw you, she said, you were helping a child during a food riot. You didn't know anyone was watching. You were kind while others fought for scraps. Jackson looked down. That girl had broken shoes. It wasn't a big deal. To you. But to me it was everything. He looked up, really seeing her now. Not just a queen. Not just an alien, a soul that had watched galaxies fall and kept hoping. You waited all these years there for me? I would have waited longer, she said. That broke something inside him. Suddenly a soft alarm rang through the chamber. The queen's face hardened. He knows. Who? Jackson asked. My brother, she said. He rules the Orion belt now. He wanted me to choose one of his warriors, but I chose you. He will see it as betrayal. Jackson stood. So, I'm not just your match. I'm your message. To him, she said. Yes. To my people? Yes. But mostly to myself. Guards entered. Your Highness, the Orion fleet has entered our border. Jackson blinked. Fleet? Like, ships? War? She turned to him. You still have time to leave. I promised you freedom and I keep my word. He looked at her again. She was glowing. Fire and storm, sadness and strength. Then he shook his head. No, I'm not running. You would stay? She asked quietly. Maybe I don't understand everything, Jackson said. But you waited for me, so now I'll stand with you. Her eyes shimmered, moist for the first time. She whispered something in her own language. And just like that, the throne room filled with light. 2 names were announced to the galaxy, Queen Virelia of Valdora and Jackson Hayes of Earth, now officially bonded in the right of royal union. But as the crowd cheered, a shadow passed over the palace. Above them, dozens of enemy warships darkened the skies. The war had just begun, and Jackson Hayes, earthborn, heart-driven, was now standing between an empire and its fall. The twin suns of Valdora rose high in the golden sky. Trumpets of strange metal sang across the floating city. Clouds shimmered with colors no Earth sky had ever seen. Below the sky bridge towers, millions of Valdorians gathered, all waiting for one event. The human was about to marry their queen. Inside the chamber of flame and ice, Jackson Hayes stood. Frozen alien hands adjusted his ceremonial armor. Silver plates with glowing threads of blue. The shoulder crest had her royal seal, but his heart was pounding too fast to care. He had never worn anything so heavy, or stood in front of so many alien eyes. What if they hate me? He asked quietly. An old alien priest beside him answered. Some do. Jackson turned. But that's not what matters, the priest continued. The queen trusts you. That is more than most kings receive. Meanwhile, Queen Virelia prepared in her ancestral chamber. She stood before a living mirror. Water, held in the air by gravity fields. Her robe was light, made of stardust and memory fabric. Her crown was placed, but her eyes were uncertain. One of her old maidens asked gently, Do you regret your choice? The queen whispered, I fear that I chose too late. The enemy is here, and he does not know what power he truly holds. Does he love you? The maid asked. I don't know, she said, but he doesn't fear me, and that's rarer than love. As the ceremony began, Jackson stepped into the Hall of Echoes. Columns of light stretched up like mountains. 1,000 alien nobles floated in silence. Across the hall, the queen appeared, walking slowly, each step causing ripples of light. On the floor, she walked alone. No guards, no weapon, just herself. When she reached him, the crowd bowed. Only Jackson stood unsure. She took his hand. Her touch was warm, soft, but strong. Don't run now, she whispered. He grinned. No pressure. The alien priest raised the orb of bonding. It pulsed with a deep sound. By royal will and cosmic law, the priest intoned, these 2 souls now stand united, one born of earth, one born of stars. Together they shall lead, or together they shall fall. As the orb floated between them, something strange happened. It turned red, then gold, then white-hot. Gasps rang out. The priest froze. This has never happened before. What does it mean? Jackson asked. It means, said the queen softly, that the bond is real. Suddenly, boom! The ground shook, lights flickered, alarms screamed through the palace. A guard rushed in. Your Majesty, the Orion ships have begun bombardment. Shields failing. Jackson stepped back. Is this a trap? The queen grabbed his wrist. No, this was always going to happen. The priest whispered in awe. The orb flared. Because he accepted her in truth. That power can defend the throne. What power? Jackson asked. Virelia looked into his eyes. Yours. You are now linked to the royal field. The throne obeys you. Outside, the enemy fleet rained down plasma fire. But as Jackson and Virelia placed their hands on the orb, a massive shield of light exploded from the palace, spreading across the entire capital. Enemy ships crashed into it, burning away like paper in wind. The nobles rose to their feet. The crowd outside began to chant, "He stands, the human stands." But not all were pleased. Up in a shadowed tower, a tall figure in dark robes watched the event through a holoscreen. The Queen's brother, Prince Morvax, slammed his fist down. "So?" "She found him," he growled. "And now the people cheer." He turned to his generals. "Then let them cheer while they burn." Back in the Queen's chamber, Jackson finally caught his breath. "I think I just saved a planet," he muttered. The Queen smiled. "You just began something far bigger than saving a planet." He looked at her, unsure. "So, I'm your king now?" She stepped closer. "You're my shield, my partner, my chosen." Jackson blinked. "Still not used to that?" "Then get used to it," she said gently. "Because war is coming." The palace walls stopped shaking. Outside, the shield Jackson helped activate still held the enemy at bay. But inside the vault of the crown, silence returned. Queen Virelia dismissed the guards. The doors sealed behind them with a hiss. Only she and Jackson remained alone. The light dimmed. The air felt heavier. Jackson looked around the chamber. The floor was made of black crystal and the walls held moving images of ancient queens, each one with glowing eyes and wings of starlight. "This isn't your throne room," Jackson whispered. "No," the Queen said. "This is where the truth lives." She walked toward a round pedestal in the center. A drop of her blood fell from her fingertip onto the surface. The crystal responded, glowing, twisting, unlocking something deep below. The floor split open. A golden sphere rose, from below rotating slowly. It showed an ancient galaxy, but most of its stars were dark. Jackson stepped closer. "What is this?" "Our past," she answered, "and maybe our future." She tapped the side of the sphere. It changed, now showing human DNA, spiraling. Beside Valdorian royal DNA, they don't match, Jackson noticed. "No," she replied, "but they used to." Jackson stared at her. "What do you mean, used to?" Virelia turned. Her voice trembled for the first time. "Our people were once like yours. A long time ago, before space, before kings. But power changed us. We altered ourselves to rule, to become more than flesh, more than mortal." She touched her temple. "We extended life, gained psychic ability, but we lost something in return." "What did you lose?" he asked. "Balance," she said. "Emotion, fertility, connection." She stepped closer. "Over centuries, our bloodline broke down. Children born without feeling, heirs without hearts, royals who ruled but could no longer love." Jackson's throat went dry. "That's why you chose me." She nodded. "Your humanity is rare now, not just in our empire, but in the galaxy." Jackson looked down at the DNA spiral again. It was glitching, unstable. "But why me, specifically?" the Queen whispered. "Because you carry something ancient, a forgotten strain, one my ancestors once shared, and only through you it can return." Jackson sat on the edge of the pedestal. "So I'm a walking cure?" "No," she said. "You're the spark." She moved closer and touched his chest. "Your kindness, your instincts, they're not random. They are signs of what our race used to be." Jackson looked into her eyes. "What happens if this fails?" She hesitated. "If the child is born without harmony, the throne will reject it. Our line ends. The war begins again." A silent moment passed. Jackson stood and paced slowly. "This isn't just about a child. This is about saving your soul." "Yes," she said, "and maybe even yours." He turned. "What do you mean?" She walked to the wall. A new image appeared. Earth centuries from now. Fires, floods, war. I've seen the human timeline. It is not kind. You are at risk of becoming like us." Jackson stepped forward. "So this isn't just about saving your people. It's about reminding mine who we are." She smiled. "That's why I waited for you." Suddenly, the chamber pulsed red. A voice echoed. Warning. Internal breach detected. Royal vault compromised. The Queen's eyes narrowed. He's... here. Jackson tensed. Your brother? No. Something worse. The pedestal sank back down. Virelia grabbed Jackson's hand. Listen to me, she said. If I don't make it, don't say that. If I don't, you must protect the child. You must take the throne's heart to the hidden moon. Only there can the heir survive. I'm not ready for this. No one ever is, she whispered. The doors shattered. A towering figure entered. Black armor, red energy crackling. Not her brother. Something else. A genetic ghost. A failed experiment. An echo of the broken royal blood. It roared and lunged. Jackson grabbed a ceremonial staff. This time, he didn't run. The creature struck like lightning. A blur of black armor and red energy tore across the crystal floor of the royal vault, roaring like a storm. Jackson barely raised the ceremonial staff in time. The impact threw him against the wall. His back slammed hard, the wind knocked out of him. Queen Virelia raised her hand, summoning a shield of glowing violet. The creature hit it, hard, and cracked it like glass. It's not stopping, Jackson shouted. It was made not to stop, she said grimly. It's a failed prince. A living mistake. A weapon bred from royal blood gone wrong. Jackson stood again, pain stabbing his ribs. Perfect time to meet the family. Outside the vault, chaos spread through the palace. Explosions echoed through marble halls. Alien nobles fled in silver robes. Royal guards clashed with intruders. Tall warriors in black and red armor, wearing the seal of Prince Morvax, the Queen's brother. He had waited for this day. The bonding ceremony gave him his excuse. Now he was taking the throne by force. Back in the vault, Jackson ran as the creature smashed the Queen's shield apart. She stumbled, bleeding from her lip. Jackson grabbed the fallen orb, the one used during the bonding ceremony. It pulsed in his hand again. White light burst from it, blinding, raw. The creature stopped mid-charge. Its red eyes turned toward Jackson, confused. It growled low. Then it knelt. Jackson stared. Did it just bow? The Queen's eyes widened. The throne's power. It recognizes you now. Suddenly, the vault doors opened again. This time it was a royal guard. Your Majesty, the outer walls have fallen. We must evacuate. She nodded. Prepare the Skylance escape corridor. The guard hesitated. But that leads to the moons. I know where it leads, she said coldly. Now go. As they ran, Jackson limped beside her, cradling the glowing orb. You never told me marrying you meant leading armies, he muttered. You never asked, she replied. They passed through halls filled with smoke and plasma fire. Statues of old queens were shattered. A child cried in a corner before a guard scooped her up. What is your brother after? Jackson asked. She looked at him. You. At the escape bay, a sleek silver ship waited. The Skylance guards shouted orders. Blasts shook the air. The Queen handed Jackson a small crystal pendant. This is your command key. Only someone bonded with royal blood can activate the Skylance. He stared at her. You're not coming with me? She stepped back. If I run, my people fall. But if you survive, the heir survives, our future survives. The enemy was almost there. He could hear the boots pounding in the hallway. No, Jackson said firmly. I'm not leaving you. She looked at him. Finally, without a crown, without armor, just a woman. You must. Boom. The wall behind them exploded. Enemy troops flooded in. The Queen drew her blade, a weapon of light and thought, and charged without hesitation. Jackson turned. One guard pushed him into the ship. Activate the Skylance now. Inside, Jackson inserted the pendant. The ship hummed. The walls sealed shut. Engines roared to life. Through the window, he saw her, Queen Virelia, fighting like a goddess, blade glowing, eyes burning. Then the Skylance launched. He didn't even get to say goodbye. Above the planet, the ship raced past starships, dodging enemy fire. Jackson sat in the pilot's seat, numb, the glowing orb in his lap. The screen lit up with a message. Destination locked. Moon of Shadara, Royal Air Protocol active. Jackson stared at the stars. I didn't want this, he whispered. I just wanted to fix machines. But deep inside him, something else stirred. Not fear, not anger, but purpose. On the surface of Valdora, Queen Virelia stood tall even as her palace crumbled. Her brother's ships flew above her. Troops surrounded her. Prince Morvax landed with a sneer. Where is the human? He hissed. She smiled. Gone. With the future you can never touch. The Skylance flew through deep space, silent and alone. Inside, Jackson Hayes lay on the floor, shivering. His hands trembled, not from cold, but from what he felt growing inside him. Not pain, not fear, something else. He clutched the glowing orb, the one used in the bonding. It no longer floated. It pulsed with light and rhythm to his heartbeat. It was connected to him now, and somehow he could feel her too. Queen Virelia. Even galaxies away, her thoughts whispered in the back of his mind. Protect it. Protect what we created. The ship's AI broke the silence. Jackson Hayes. Vital signs, elevated. Emotional state unstable. Begin father protocol? He sat up slowly, eyes wide. What did you just say? The ship replied gently. Royal Union confirmed. Genetic bond successful. Her seed lives within her. But your imprint lives within the throne field now. The heir is awakening. He stood and walked toward the medical chamber. Inside floated a hologram of a fetus, glowing faintly, no larger than a walnut, half alien, half human. Not born yet, not even fully formed. But its heartbeat shook the air. Jackson fell to his knees. This is real, he whispered. I'm going to be a father? Suddenly, pain gripped his chest. A flash of light filled his mind. Visions. Queen Virelia, blood on her lips still standing. Prince Morvax marching through fire. 1,000 stars blinking out. Then, a single moon, glowing silver. Jackson gasped and held his head. The visions faded, but the feeling remained. The child inside the queen, it wasn't normal. It was more than a future ruler. It was a living key, a child that would unlock something ancient. As the ship neared the moon of Shadara, alarms suddenly screamed. Warning. 2 enemy cruisers detected. Intercept in 70 seconds. Jackson rushed to the control panel. He had no weapons, no pilot training, just guts. And a secret voice inside his mind now whispering faster. Use the bond. Focus on the core. He touched the orb again, and for the first time, it responded. To his will, panels on the ship shifted. Wings retracted. Engines roared like thunder. The Skylance transformed, not into a warship, but into something ancient. A Royal Guardian vessel, one that hadn't flown for 10,000 years. The enemy cruisers fired plasma beams. Jackson didn't flinch. His hand moved over controls like he had flown this ship before, as if someone, or something, was guiding him. The ship twisted mid-space and returned fire, not with weapons but with a shockwave of light. The enemy ships were flung back like leaves in a storm. The path to the moon cleared. Inside the throne chamber back on Valdora, Queen Virelia suddenly smiled, blood running down her cheek. His bond awakened, she whispered. He's learning, Prince Morvax snarled. Then I'll kill him before he learns too much. The Skylance landed on Shadara, the forgotten moon. Ancient structures lit up as Jackson stepped out carrying the orb. The whole moon seemed to recognize him. A gate opened, without command. Inside, a temple. Silent. Cold. Waiting. The orb floated. Again, and this time from its light appeared a projection of the first queen of Valdora. She spoke in a voice like wind. If you are seeing this, it means the blood has mixed. It means hope lives. Jackson listened as the projection explained. This child is not only heir to Valdora. He or she will carry the balance both species lost, the gift of humanity and the strength of stars. But this child must be born on sacred ground or the throne will reject them. He looked around. This place? Yes. Only here can the throne's curse be broken. The projection faded. Jackson stood alone. He looked down at the orb, now dim, resting quietly. The baby was still growing. But time was running out. The queen could not hold off her enemies forever. He whispered, "Please hold on, Varelia. I'll make this safe." But far above, another ship appeared, silent and dark. Inside it stood Prince Morvax, his blade ready. "I'm coming, Earthman, and I'll cut that air from your hands myself." The skies over the moon of Shadara turned dark. Clouds rolled, and not of weather but of war. A massive ship blocked the sunlight as it landed just outside the ancient temple. Its engines hissed. Its doors creaked open. Prince Morvax had arrived. Inside, Jackson Hayes stood alone. The ancient walls of the temple hummed with soft energy, reacting to the living orb now floating near the shrine. Inside the orb, a small light pulsed like a heartbeat. The air, still growing, still fragile, but alive. Jackson clenched his fists. "You're not getting past me," he whispered. Prince Morvax entered with slow steps, black armor shining like obsidian. Behind him marched 6 royal assassins, born of gene warriors and bred to kill without question. "Step aside, human," Morvax hissed. "You're not royalty. You're not a fighter. You don't belong here." Jackson didn't move. "I didn't belong in a palace either," he said. "But your sister chose me, and now this child is both of us." Morvax sneered. "It will never rule." Without warning, Morvax lunged. Jackson rolled aside, grabbing the staff he once used in the bonding ceremony. He swung, missed. The prince struck back, slashing across Jackson's arm. Blood hit the floor. The assassins moved forward, but the orb flared suddenly. Blinding white light exploded outward, knocking them to the ground. The temple awakened, ancient stones lit with energy. Statues rose from their slumber. The floor beneath, Jackson shifted, raising him slightly, holding him upright. The temple itself had chosen him. Morvax looked around, confused. "What is this?" Jackson stood tall, the blood on his arm already sealing as the orb floated beside him. "This is balance," Jackson said. "Something you'll never understand." Morvax roared and attacked again. Jackson blocked him, barely. The prince was stronger, faster, born for battle. But Jackson fought differently. He didn't fight to win. He fought to protect. As they clashed, the orb floated higher. A second light appeared. Queen Varelia's voice echoed through it. "Jackson, if you hear this, it means I've fallen. Or perhaps survived. Either way, I have given you everything. Protect our child, save our people. Even if I'm gone, let love survive." Jackson's hands gripped the staff tighter. He caught Morvax's blade in a lock. "You've already lost," he growled. "You fight for power. I fight for her." With a sudden burst of strength, Jackson pushed the prince back. The temple responded to his emotions. Light from the walls struck Morvax, wrapping around him like vines. He screamed. "You are not the true line," the temple thundered in ancient Valdorian tongue. The assassins fled. Morvax collapsed, restrained by the will of the temple itself. Jackson stood panting. It was over. But then the orb changed. It floated toward the center of the chamber. The ground opened, revealing a golden cradle, surrounded by pure starlight. Jackson approached slowly. The orb gently lowered itself into the cradle and dissolved. A soft glow remained. Then, the glow shaped itself into a child. Not a newborn, not fully grown, a being of light and warmth. a perfect mix of alien royalty and human soul. Eyes opened, one violet, one sky blue. Jackson knelt. The child reached out, tiny fingers wrapping around his thumb. A voice echoed in his mind, not Varelia's, not his own, but the child's. "Hello, Father." Tears rolled down Jackson's cheeks. Years later, the palace of Valdora stood tall again. The war had ended. The people had chosen peace. At the top of the throne tower, a boy with glowing eyes stood proudly, his hand in his father's. The galaxy knew him as Auron, the starborn heir, and beside him stood Jackson Hayes, once just a mechanic from Earth, now the father of a new empire. And far away, beyond the stars, a shadow smiled in silence. Queen Varelia, watching from exile, knowing her choice had changed history.